Now, from the studios of Into Tomorrow in Miami, this is ITTV.
Our next guest company powers the world's only accessible cognitive AI assistants. Okay, that also got our attention, so we wanted to find out what that's all about. So we invited the co-founder and CEO of Juji, Zhou, to join us. Michelle, welcome Into Tomorrow from San Jose, California, here to our Miami studios. How are you?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure, and glad to have you with us. Tell me about the company Juji.
So Juji is an artificial intelligence company. So it's specialized in creating and powering what we call it a new generation of AI assistants with cognitive intelligence. And people might ask, what's cognitive intelligence?
Yes,
So
I think people, including myself, are asking exactly that. And certainly most of our audience says, well, it sounds cool, but my goodness, what is it? Yeah.
Hey. So in addition to teaching machines language skills, for example, to be able to understand, interpret English and respond with English, we also teach machines human soft skills, such as active listening, which means that during the conversation, an AI assistant can summarize what it listens and actually confirm the emotions to be empathetic. And more, we also teach machines to read between the lines, which means it is to go beyond what users have said to automatically infer users' unspoken needs and wants. So for example, during the conversation, the machine can automatically analyze users' text, conversational text, and infer whether this user is very adventurous, bold, versus this user is more careful and very actually meticulous. So that's, you can see, it's almost like you're working with a person, you're working with the psychologist who can really understand what your needs and wants are without even you speak it out.
Wow. So, I mean, I never heard of machine learning or artificial intelligence being able to read between the lines. That's kind of interesting in and of itself, I think.
Yeah, that's what our actually specialty, because you probably knew from my bio, my co-founder and I, before we started Juji, we have worked with IBM for many years. And we are the inventors of IBM Watson Personality Insights, which really is a start of the research work there. It's how do you actually use user behavioral data, especially communication text, to better understand each user deeply, including their individual differences, such as emotional signature and whether they are extrovert or introvert, whether they are very open to new ideas, and whether they are either very liberal in terms of their political or their values.
Oh, wow. Well, then how can something like this help us as consumers, or is it meant for us as consumers?
Definitely. So there have been very different types of use cases. So one type of use case you can think about it is right now with the advances of AI, consumers, just regular people, right? When they interview with the company, let's say want to find a job with the company, they may actually interview with an AI. So in that case, it is the AI would use that interaction to better assess the fit between the candidates and the company culture. So in this case, it is such an AI actually can help also train interviewees. For example, if somebody who is very ambitious and tends to actually exaggerate the facts, if the AI detects such intention, such actually intent, they may actually can coach the interviewee to say this one, I know you're ambitious. I know you want to impress your interviewers. Maybe you can stick to the facts. Then that will go a long way, right?
Wow.
And similarly, on the opposite, if somebody who is very timid, who is very afraid to speak out loud their thoughts about their ideas, the computer can detect those kind of unspoken psychological needs and wants, can actually coach that person to say, just be bold, just speak it out. And then other people would appreciate your opinions.
So in other words, you're saying, Michelle, that this AI, the machine learning, the artificial intelligence, can even determine if someone is being shy and kind of help get them out of their shell, so to speak?
Yeah, exactly. You said it better than I did. Exactly, right. So can I really detect your, what do we call it, unspoken needs and wants? It's called psychological needs, right?
Yeah.
So if you detect if somebody who didn't say it, for example, somebody said is, I really want to enjoy to go to the restaurant serving Ethiopian food or maybe Egyptian food. So it's not just about the particular food they like. Maybe this is also indication about their adventurousness. So in this case, you could actually recommend the services and products that actually satisfy, fulfill such unspoken needs and wants.
Very interesting. Wow. So I can see that this can be used in many, many ways to assist people and to assist companies for that matter. I mean, I love your example about perhaps the job interview is all done by AI. When, in this case, would that mean perhaps just sitting in front of a computer and answering questions, or would it be tied into a robot of some sort that is the person doing the interview, which would kind of, I think, freak a lot of people out, but maybe they'd get used to it and actually have a conversation?
Just actually think about it. The simplest way would be just they are as if they're chatting with a human interviewer. They could text chat, basically texting our AI interviewer.
Oh,
and
okay.
actually, we found it is our study found it is interview in this way. Candidates are much more relaxed. They can do 24/7. They can do it at 12 midnight. And really just speak out loud their thoughts, right? Being themselves, being authentic.
Yeah,
And
that's
this
true.
may also help the companies to figure out whether the candidates are a great fit for their or the positions they're hiring, right? They're recruiting.
Yeah, or if they just have a big ego and they're trying to impress you, but obviously the AI is seeing through that and trying to get them back down to earth and just be realistic and more honest. Very cool.
Precisely.
Now, is that part of your work that kind of paved the way from IBM Watson to what you're doing now with Juji?
Thank you for asking this. So I spent 15 years with the IBM research and including a part of them at IBM Watson Group. So IBM really has taught me many important lessons on how to create great AI products, right? So here I wanted to highlight 3 of them. So one is I have spent literally 10 or 12 years building conversational AI at IBM. So what has taught me there it is what are real pain and challenges from both user side and from the developer side. So I'm pretty sure we will touch upon this democratizing AI, no-code AI, because if you take an organization, even big organizations, the government, not necessarily every organization has AI expertise and sophisticated programmers. So that's why it's a real need on how do you create an AI product that is truly useful, which means it help really end users, and actually usable. The second lesson I also learned is really you want to know what is hype, what is reality. So at the IBM, when we're developing Watson personality insights, one of the assumptions is everybody has a ton of the data, so we can analyze and use the analysis to help that individual. That actually is false. Because once we started the company, we found that we recruited about 5,000 students to use our tool to try to analyze themselves, to discover about themselves. We found that 95% of the people don't have enough data for our analysis.
Oh.
Despite their enthusiasm of discovering themselves, they said, we don't really post on social media, so we don't have the data. That's actually inspired us to say, then how can we get authentic data? That's why we create a conversational AI to engage with people, to enable them to discover about themselves, right? So the third lesson I learned is also very interesting. It's about how to create an AI product, which means that how to differentiate a product versus the technology. So in my opinion, IBM Watson Personality Insights, it's a piece of technology, not really a product per se in a way it is people don't know how to use it end to end because not everybody is a psychologist, right? Once they see those insights, they wondering how you're going to use it. So that's a very different than what we're doing right now. It is we create the product that can help organizations or individuals to complete a task end to end, not just to give you a piece of technology, right? So you can't be halfway, you can't be 80%, it has to be 100%. So really the three lessons I have learned by working at IBM for 15 years, how to create awesome product-led AI company.
And it's interesting that it's been about 15 years or so that I have been begging IBM to allow me to interview Watson one day because of AI conversational capabilities. And it's never happened. So I just gave up on IBM. But I'm not giving up on the kinds of things you guys are doing because I think that's truly interesting. I'm noticing on your website, you guys talk about reusable cognitive intelligence. First of all, what the heck is that, and how does that play a role?
Let me give you a very simple analogy. Adopting AI is almost like adopting a child. In order for the AI to help humans to do human job, you have to teach AI human skills, like I mentioned earlier, language skills, soft skills. So in that case, you can think about it is when you adopt a child, you want the child to be very fluent, very proficient in conversing, communicating with other people. You have to teach the child. What if you want a second child? If you want to teach the child from scratch, take a long time, take a lot of effort. How about you teach the child once and transferring all this child's intelligence into another child immediately to make another child smart, and starting from that foot ground. So that's called the reusable intelligence, right? So which means it is we pre-train AI with those cognitive intelligence, like reading between the lines, active listening skills. So when organizations, when they want to adopt an AI assistant, this AI assistant with the built-in intelligence already. So this will cut dramatically the time and the cost of adopting AI for any organizations, no matter if they have AI skills, AI team or not.
Wow. So yeah, I can see how it can reduce the cost for a company and certainly help them in many ways. And then maybe all you have to do is update that new AI assistant because new things happen, new products come into play, whatever. It's a simple matter of updating, but not training from the very beginning. Boy, if we could only do that with children, that would be amazing. So who knows? Maybe one day into tomorrow, you just plug a USB cable. But anyway, I won't get too far ahead. People are afraid that robots are taking over. But Michelle, you are a delight to talk with, and I appreciate you spending a few minutes with us. Obviously, folks listening want more information or watching the video. You want to come by intotomorrow.com and see the interview with Michelle. And we're showing you some of the things that she's talking about. Visit Juji, Juji, Juji.io. There you go. And we'll get you there too when you visit us at intotomorrow.com. Michelle, as co-founder and CEO of Juji, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. Continued good luck to you guys and stay in touch.
Thank you, Dave, for having me.
It's our pleasure. Again, Juji.io. You want to keep in mind that's a very cool place about cognitive AI assistance, a workforce without limits. I like what they're doing. It's really fascinating, and we're certainly going to hear more and talk more about it into tomorrow. I'm Dave Graveline. Stay tuned as we bring you further into tomorrow right here on the Advanced Media Network.